Hi Founder fans, Jason here, and today we're going to be talking about the surprisingly famous life of Ethan Allen. Now, right off the bat, Ethan Allen is a name everyone knows, not just students of the Revolution, but almost every American, and that is presumably because there was a chain of retail stores with his name. Now, I've never been in an Ethan Allen. I believe they sell furniture and housewares and the like, but I'm not sure. I do know I've driven by them for most of my life, and that's how people know his name. But not everyone knows why his name is so famous, other than the chain of stores. So let's get into it. Let's talk about his life. So Ethan Allen grew up in Connecticut, and as a younger man became friends with Dr. Thomas Young, whose story I told yesterday. You can watch it right here. And he and Dr. Young became friends, and Allen got a lot of his beliefs and a lot of his spirituality even became a deist through Dr. Thomas Young. Now, Young would go to Albany and then Boston and help start a revolution. Ethan Allen would go to Vermont, and he'd buy a bunch of land there, and he'd make a nice life. And he's joined a group called the Green Mountain Boys. Now, the Green Mountain Boys were pretty much just a militia, and they were there to protect the people in Vermont, which was then called the New Hampshire Grants. They were protecting themselves from Native Americans and from the French who were up in Canada, and from the people of New York, who thought this land was theirs and kept coming to collect. So, all of a sudden, there's this little outbreak of Lexington and Concord that happens, and a Revolutionary War begins. And the Green Mountain Boys say, hey, you know what? Let's go to Fort Ticonderoga. It's not far away. It's very poorly manned. It should be easy to take. It will be a show of force for not just Vermont and the Green Mountain Boys, but for the American cause in general. And it'll help prepare us if the British Army comes down the Hudson River. Great idea. So off they go, and along the way, they run into this other guy who had the same idea as them. And this other guy happened to be named Benedict Arnold. Now, this is before Benedict Arnold was a traitor. It's actually before he became a hero to make him being a traitor actually significant. Arnold was sent by Massachusetts to raise, not an army, but raise soldiers and take Fort Ticonderoga. So they meet along the way, and they go, oh, you're going to Ticonderoga? I'm going to Ticonderoga. Let's go together. We'll do this together. So they go. And on the way, Arnold, who was given command, thought he was in charge, and Ethan Allen, who was in command of all of these men, thought he was in charge. Now, officially, Arnold was kind of right, but in actuality, all of these men were following Ethan Allen, and Seth Warner, who I will make a video about another time. Either way, they go and very easily take Fort Ticonderoga. Yay! So, believe it or not, that's pretty much where Ethan Allen's revolutionary career peaks. Despite him being super famous. In the first few weeks of the Revolutionary War is really where he makes his name. Because he's soon thereafter sent on a scouting mission up to Canada. Because the Americans were going to invade Canada, and they wanted to not only scout the area, but recruit some men. And Allen did this. He went up toward Quebec, and he recruited about 200 Canadians to come join the cause. Unfortunately, he was captured at this time, and he was put in a prison ship, and he went to London, and then they brought him to New York, and he spent most of the war, he spent 3 years as a prisoner, often being treated very harshly, and he spent 3 years as a prisoner of war, and missed a good deal of the revolution. And when he was finally released, he went to Vermont, and he did become a founder of Vermont, and that really, in essence, is what his big contribution to the revolution was, is that, you know, if you live in Vermont, you know the name Ethan Allen. He is one of the founders of Vermont. It's like Caesar Rodney is to Delaware. Unfortunately, not a lot of people know the name Caesar Rodney, even though he played a lot bigger role than Ethan Allen did. Anyway, Allen sold some land and made some money, and he published a bunch of books. And notably, he published a biography about what a great guy he was and how helpful he was to winning the war. And it was a fairly successful book. And that is why his name really became fairly famous across the states, is he had he published an autobiography and said, look at what a great job I did. And people were like, yeah, you did a sweet job. Which, you know, he did before he spent years in prison. Not to take away from him, he definitely contributed, and he definitely helped us take Fort Ticonderoga. But that is, in essence, why he's famous, is he wrote that book. Granted, he would not nearly be as famous as he is if it weren't for that chain of stores that sells something. I assume across America. Let me know in the comments if you have Ethan Allen's. They're in New York, I can tell you that. But let me know if they're in other parts of the country. I'm honestly not sure how big a chain it is. Or even if it's still around. Let me know. I'm going to go. Before I do, I am going to have tomorrow, January 18th at 2 o'clock on Saturday. I'm going to do a live video this time. I've been releasing my weekend reviews. I'm going to do a live one, so that way I can take a little more time with it. And if you have questions about anything you read this week or anything I talk about, you can just message me here, or maybe here. It'll pop up somewhere. It's kind of an experiment. I've only done live like once or twice. Hopefully it'll be fun. And if you like this video, definitely hit like, because it really helps me get to more people. And if you have not subscribed, what are you waiting for? Subscribe so you'll get notifications when I release these videos. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you tomorrow.